What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. In today's episode, we're going to be diving deep into the stats of the Dravec 45, and toward the end, I'm going to be sharing a few excellent attachment combinations. And starting it off, as always, let's have a look at our raw power potential, and the rate of fire on the Dravec is 652 rounds per minute, which is the slowest fire rate in the SMG category. And with this gun, it's going to be a 4 to 7 shot kill depending on the range. Now, when it comes to our time to kill potential up close in that maximum damage range, this is 276 milliseconds, which isn't a terrible time to kill, but it is worse than average for SMGs, and it definitely will be outgunned by most of the other SMGs right up close and personal if we're just looking at raw time to kill potential. In saying that, it's not like this is a horrible time to kill, like it still holds its own very well against assault rifles up close. You're just not really excelling when it comes to this. And it turns out that trend does apply to all of the other ranges as well. We are going to be killing a bit slower than average for an SMG. As for headshots, right up close and personal, headshots are useless on this gun. And at every other damage range, you need 3 headshots mixed in with body shots in order to make those headshots help, which isn't going to be all that effective. And even with the headshot barrel, headshots are not particularly effective. And therefore, outside of going for camos, I wouldn't recommend focusing on hitting headshots. Then after that, let's have a look at our damage ranges, and we've got a pretty impressive range profile here. Our maximum damage range is 13.3 meters, that's not bad for an SMG, and we don't drop off to a 7-shot kill, the minimum damage range, until about 37 meters. That's very impressive. That's actually the longest drop-off point to our minimum damage range for an SMG, so it definitely excels in this area. Also, we've got an excellent bullet velocity, best in category, at 610 meters per second. And so range is definitely a strong suit when it comes to the Dravec. Now, if you want to increase our range or velocity, here are the barrels that can have an impact on those ranges. Out of all of these, if I'm going to pick one, it will be the long barrel, so I can really stretch those range values out nicely since our base bullet velocity is solid by default. And when it comes to rapid fire, this will reduce our range and velocity value by 10%, but we get a boost to our rate of fire, and therefore a boost to our time to kill to a point where it's far more competitive now, or at the very least, it's more around the realm of average for an SMG. And while I often don't use rapid fire, I would say on the Dravec, it's a solid option to consider at the very least. In either case, let's move into hardcore game modes, and in hardcore, it will be a 1-shot kill anywhere in the body in the maximum range, and then beyond that, you need to start mixing headshots in order to maintain a 1-shot kill potential. As for hipfire, it's among the worst in the SMG category. That's not to say that it's terrible at hipfiring, but it definitely doesn't excel in this area. It's worse than average, and it's even worse than several of the assault rifles in this game. And now let's talk about recoil a little bit. This is one area where the Dravec really excels. This is absolutely the most accurate full auto SMG in the game. It's super easy to control this recoil. It climbs very slowly, and it's very predictable as well. Kicks upward with a bit of a lean to the right. When you combine this with the range profile, I would say this makes it the most versatile SMG in the game because you can stretch out to those mid-ranges no problem, unlike many of the other SMGs. And this brings us into our handling stats, and the Dravec 45 isn't great in this area for the SMG category. For all of these areas, it's either among the worst or it's literally the worst in the SMG category, so something to consider there. It really seems they designed this to be sort of a middle ground between an SMG and an assault rifle, so it's designed to be a bit more versatile, but you lose some of those great upsides of the typical SMG in order to gain that versatility. But after that, let's have a look at our reload time, and our base reload time is 1.73 seconds, which is pretty slow for an SMG. However, we at least have a 36-round base magazine capacity, and when you combine that with the fact that we have the slowest SMG rate of fire, those 36-round mags can really last a long time, and therefore I think that slower reload time is really not a big deal because of this. However, of course, if you want to speed this up, you could use either the flip mag or the fast mag 1 attachment, or you can increase that capacity even more with extended mag 1 or 2. And for our base stats, this just leaves us with mobility. And unsurprisingly, just like with our handling stats here, across the board, we're quite weak in the movement speed department. It's once again either the worst or at least among the worst in each of these areas for an SMG. So there we go, that wraps it up for all of the base stats of the Dravec 45. Now let's move into its unique prestige attachment. This is the MFS Agile Laser Pro. So with this laser, it's really designed to help a lot with your movement speeds, as well as your handling stats, and it improves our damage range, but this comes at the cost of recoil. And let's break this down a little bit further. When it comes to our aim down sight and sprint out times, it brings these closer to average for SMGs, but I mean, it's still a little bit slower than average, but it at least helps out in these areas to speed those up. Whereas with our movement speed values, this takes this gun from being among the worst in the SMG category to now being among the best by just putting this one attachment on. And then on top of that, we get a minor damage range benefit at 5%. Now, like I said, this does come at the cost of increased recoil, which, as we can see here, there's definitely a little bit more bounciness to the recoil, as well as a higher overall magnitude. But realistically, it's still fairly easy to control. I just wouldn't want to use this if I'm specifically going for like a really accurate longer range build. And one of the other cons of using this laser is when aiming down sights, it's going to be visible to enemy players. However, taking a look at it in-game, realistically, this is not a very visible laser beam. With the pacing of COD especially, I think it's pretty unlikely that an enemy is going to spot this laser, and then even if they do, is it actually going to affect the outcome of that gunfight? Maybe in some situations here or there, but I would say for the most part, it's not something you have to be really paranoid about. If you are using this laser, I would generally expect that the enemy is not likely to see it. And there we have it. With that out of the way, we can now move into some excellent attachment combinations, and the first one I wanted to share with you guys is my balanced stealth build. This is just a really nice all-arounder. With it, we are using a suppressor, we're using the damage range barrel to get that really nice 30% boost to our damage ranges. I've also got the Gator extended mag on here, just so I have that really nice 48 round mag with no downside attached to that whatsoever outside of using an attachment slot on it. So that just means I don't have to think about reloading nearly as often with this, and I can mow through entire teams without having to reload. As for my rear grip, I'm using the one that helps with our aim down sight speed, slide to fire speed, and dive to fire speed, just because I really like sliding aggressively into gunfights, so that suits my playstyle quite well. And then finally, we're topping this off with the Serval Q-Step stock, which is the stock that helps with aim walking movement speed, and we get a great strafe value with this, so we can strafe in gunfights quite effectively. Now, recoil-wise, nothing actually changes here, and that's fine. This gun is just accurate by default, so I really like that. And this just makes for a really nice all-around stealth build with the Dravec, and I've found a ton of success with this one. In saying that though, one area where this is still lacking is the time to kill department, so I have a variant of this, which is my rapid fire build. So with this one, we're using all of the same attachments as the previous build, with one exception. I swapped out that extended mag for rapid fire. Now, this still gives us a net 17% improvement to our damage range, and it really nicely improves our time to kill, so we're now much more competitive with SMGs right up close and personal. However, that does come at the cost of increased recoil for using rapid fire, so that limits our potential a bit if we're stretching our ranges out at all. And therefore, we're sacrificing a bit of versatility with this build, but in doing so, we're gaining some more of that power as an SMG in more like close to somewhat mid-ranges. As for the next build I wanted to share for you guys, this is my gunfighter build, and oftentimes with my gunfighter builds, I like leaning really heavily into accuracy just to see the potential of a gun, but with the Dravec, it's already very accurate, so instead, I aim to make this the most versatile build possible with maximum attachments, and with this, we've got the ELO sight, the compensator, the damage range barrel, the 48 round extended mag, the quick arm grip, which helps with aim down sight speed, the endurance stock, which is the one that helps with recoil, the swift point laser, which helps with our aim down sight and sprint to fire time, and then finally, we're once again topping this one off with rapid fire. And with this particular setup, since we're using a couple attachments that help quite a bit with recoil control, it really helps counteract that increased recoil with rapid fire, which means we maintain great accuracy with this build while maintaining an excellent range profile for an SMG. We've got improved handling stats here, so we can sprint out and aim down sight as fast as the other SMGs out there. And really, with this setup, there are essentially no downsides, or at least no big downsides with it. It's just good at everything now. It can compete very well with other SMGs right up close and personal, while maintaining its versatility at those mid-ranges, so it can easily challenge assault rifles in those ranges as well. And this just makes for one of the most versatile builds in the entire game, at least in my opinion. And then finally, I did want to share a build using the Prestige attachment, that agile laser. And with this one, we're really going to lean into the strengths of that. So this is my super strafe build, and you get a ridiculous strafe speed with it. So on this one, we're once again using a suppressor. I really like staying off the radar. We have that Gator extended mag attachment, the stock that helps with our aim walking speed, combined with the laser itself. And then since that laser does harm our recoil, I put the buffer springs on just to help counteract that recoil reduction a little bit. And while we're still slightly less accurate than the base version of this gun, it's not by very much. It's still very easy to manage and control. And as I said, this allows you to strafe insanely fast. Our aim walking speed is 4.4 meters per second. So when you are strafing back and forth in a gunfight, it makes you quite a hard target to hit. And with that, that's finally going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the Dravec 45. And when it comes to my thoughts on this gun, it's really good. It's super, super versatile. While it's not the best SMG in the game at like really close ranges, like I said earlier, I do consider this to be the most versatile SMG. It can hold its own in a very wide variety of situations. And because of that, I actually consider it to be one of the better SMGs in the game because many of the other SMGs really lack in the versatility department more so than we're used to with SMGs in Call of Duty. So I just feel like many of the SMGs are quite limited, but I don't feel that way with the Dravec. I feel like I can handle myself in a very wide variety of situations. Now, of course, these are just my thoughts on the Dravec, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this SMG in those comments down below. Also, if you guys have missed any of the previous gun guides, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of the video. And if you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.